Okay, we are live. Of course, my name is Kent. The channel's Bitcoin Believer. It is November 30th, the very last day of November 2023. I have my comment section open. If you'd like to leave a comment or give a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you leave a comment, I'll put it on screen and we'll talk about it. So today, Bitcoin price 37,557.91 cents. It's really kind of traded flat here the last day or so. Not a whole lot of activity. But we have things coming up, and everybody's talking about this ETF, the electric, or the funds. What is an ETF? I'll talk about ETFs here in a second. I'll just get a good definition for what an ETF is. ETFs or exchange, that's the word I was thinking about. Exchange, I was thinking of electronic. I don't know why I was thinking of electronic. Exchange traded funds are exactly as they name, funds that trade on exchanges, generally tracking a specific index. When you invest in an ETF, you get a bundle of assets you can buy and sell during market hours, potentially lowering your risk and exposure while helping to diversify your portfolio. So that's what an ETF is. I used to just call them like mutual funds, you know. When I was a stockbroker, I'm trying to think of some of them that we used to have, like Janus Mutual Fund, the Quantum Fund, those things. Those are kind of funds I used to sell as a stockbroker. But ETF is just an electronic, and I really don't even think about it too much because, like, an ETF probably has certain parameters they have to use as far as how they spend the money, what they can invest in, and all that stuff. And that's unique. But the thing about the ETF, which is significant, is it's going to bring in a ton of people into Bitcoin, and that's what this video is about. Let me look. I was going to look at the news here real quick. Bitcoin news, because a lot of the news is about supply problems with Bitcoin. Let's see if we can get some news here. Oh, when I get this wrong stuff up. Okay, Bitcoin news. So, so this guy, Michael Saylor, he's buying a lot of Bitcoin. He's got 600 million tied up already, or 600. Some Saylor MicroStrategies stock symbol MSTR buys almost 600 million Bitcoin, and I think he just bought that in November. MicroStrategies. Saylor makes biggest Bitcoin purchase in more than 2 years. So he's all in right now. Gosh, he's up to what? The firm Bitcoin holdings are now worth roughly 6.5 billion. Okay, think about this. Saylor's got a ton of Bitcoin. Satoshi's got a ton of Bitcoin. I mean, you got 1 million Satoshi Bitcoin that are off the market, will never be on the market, that are going to be held probably indefinitely. So there's only 21 million ever to exist. 1 million of it is already erased. So now you're down to 20 million. And now you got guys like MicroStrategy owning, and I don't know how much Bitcoin he actually owns, but 6.5 billion is a lot of Bitcoin. He owns a ton of Bitcoin. You got guys like this guy right here, Novogratz, Mike Novogratz. He owns a ton of Bitcoin. He was involved with us with EOS. He's got, he's worth $1.5 billion. He owns a ton of Bitcoin. So these guys all own a lot of Bitcoin. They're stocking up on the Bitcoin. Of course, Tesla owns Bitcoin. They own a lot of Bitcoin. You're going to have a supply shock here pretty quick. In fact, you're probably already having it. As far as Bitcoin's concerned, I mean, there's just not going to be enough Bitcoin in the world to supply all the demand. And that's what I want to start talking about a little bit here in this video. And I found this article is by this Scaramucci. Spot ETFs will help Wall Street sales force drive billions into Bitcoin. Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci is predicting a spot Bitcoin ETF approval will drive billions of new value to the sector. If there's one thing people are underestimating about Bitcoin spot ETF approval, it's the reality of Wall Street marketing engine. At least that's what the takeaway from capital allocator Anthony Scaramucci most recently visited to the crypto industry podcast, The Scoop. In the interview, Scaramucci talked at length about how Bitcoin ETF is poised to reshape the investing landscape. In particular, the founder of Skybridge Capital declared that the ETF approval by the federal government would unleash a Salesforce tsunami, channeling billions into the cryptocurrency. That is true. As someone that was a former stockbroker myself, you're always looking for new product, and, I was listening to Kathy Woods the other day, and she was talking about how the stock market really isn't doing much right now, except for 7 stocks that are all driven by AI. I mean, it's AI kind of stock. I don't know what the companies are, but they're AI companies. They're going, they're going up in value. The rest of the market's really flat or going down. So when you see the increase in the indexes, you're looking at about 7 stocks. You're not looking at the whole broad, S&P or something like that, because there's not a lot of interest in a lot of these stocks because they're overpriced, they're overvalued, and people are worried about whether we're going to go to inflation or deflation. And people don't know what the future is. We're in an election year. You got a lot of people that are starting to struggle because stimulus money is running out. They're not giving as much stimulus to some certain businesses as they were. Some of these like student loan payments are coming up for people. Some of the stuff that was done in stimulus is starting to run out. So now people are you're running out of money. So there's not as much money in the economy right now as there was a few years ago. So now the stock market needs new blood in order to keep the thing rolling, to keep people invested, because if they don't see their money doing anything in the stock market, they're probably going to pull it out. And that's not what Wall Street wants. So you got to have some new product. And that's what Scaramucci is saying. They got to have some new product. And I found this other article too. A gift at $37,000. Wall Street is demanding Bitcoin as available supplies dry up. Institutional interest from the likes of BlackRock and diminishing liquid supply means the Bitcoin price can only go in one direction from here. The crypto market is riding a wave of institutional enthusiasm with its largest asset hitting a series of near-term price highs as the Wall Street firm gets closer to offering products built upon it. So here we go. At different points in the last month, BlackRock week-long journey towards an approval of spot Bitcoin exchange-funded ETF causes 100 million in liquidations, pushed 16 months high, and driven a $37,000 top. Not seen in more than a year, but this could not be a mirror. It goes on. I don't want to read you because that's boring for me just to read to you. But there's only 21 million ever available. And like I say, a lot of it's already tied up. So there's going to be supply shock here pretty quick with Bitcoin. And let me go back to the Bitcoin news a little bit more. So there's a guy I want to talk about right here. This guy right here is called the Uneducated Economist. I kind of like him. He's just a YouTuber, just like I am, and he does something. He's just kind of like a salesman, I think. But he has a pretty, what would you say? He has a really good kind of grasp of what's going on because of his position I think he's in lumber sales or something like that. So he kind of knows by how much people are buying or what people are hauling. He kind of like, this is kind of like something he likes. He calls himself the Uneducated Economist because he just likes to kind of kick things around about the economy. And of course, he reads all the Federal Reserve stuff, and he's pretty interesting to listen to. I kind of like listening to him, and sometimes you can get some good information from him. Unlike somebody like this dude. Every time I see this guy, Mark Cuban, I mean, he is just such a, when I see that picture, you know what I think? I think Frankenstein. The guy is Frankenstein. And the reason I can't stand this guy is because he made billions of dollars by broadcast.com, which is something that never ever really worked. I mean, he was able to pawn that off on Yahoo for a couple $2 billion, and it was actually a company. What it was is taking radio and putting it on the internet. He was a sports guy. He liked sports. He was into Indiana basketball, and he wanted to listen to his basketball games. So it was about the time of the internet. So he came up with this idea called broadcast.com. We'll take radio and we'll be able to listen to it anywhere on the internet. That was broadcast.com. And I don't know how many subscribers he had. He had a few. And at that time, everybody was looking for, they thought there was going to be instant success on the internet. So everybody was looking to gather as many people as eyeballs as they could. So Yahoo bought him out for $2.5 billion, which was one of the worst business mistakes in the history of business. In fact, Forbes magazine goes through about how some of the worst business decisions ever made. And this was one of them, buying Mark Cuban's company, broadcast.com, which was a loser. It didn't exist a year after they bought it. It just went away because it was just bad idea, bad technology and everything. But this guy runs around like he's the most intelligent human being that ever walked the face of the earth. And I've never watched one episode of that show, this Shark Tank, but occasionally you'll see a few little snips here and there, clips here and there. And he's a pompous ass that sits there and thinks everybody's idea is not, good or bad or anything like that. He sets in judgment of everybody else when he came up with one of the worst ideas in history. He just had to be lucky enough to get Yahoo to jump on it and, do one of the worst business decisions in history by buying out broadcast.com. But this guy is one of the luckiest human beings that ever walked the face of the earth. He is absolutely one of the luckiest human beings that ever walked the face of the earth. He should sit down. He should get on his hands and knees and thank God every day for what he has, because basically what he got is he got lucky. So I don't ever listen to him. When he comes up on anything, I turn it off. But when a guy like this, who's out in the real world, who's actually doing something and intermingling with people, on one-to-one in his actual in his work every day, and has a good he's intelligent and he has good common sense, and I like listening to guys like that. I'll listen to a guy like that every day, all day long, over a guy like Cuban. So if you want to find some more stuff out about the economy, and he also is interested in Bitcoin. Most of the people I listen to have some Bitcoin interest, so he's interested in Bitcoin too. So that's a good guy to listen to if you want to keep up with the economy and what's going on with the feds and what direction you think it's if it's going to go negative or positive, or going to recession, or we're going inflation or whatever. Everybody, he even thinks we're going to a central bank digital currency. Anybody with any intelligence at this point sees the writing on the wall as far as the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. But the problem is I don't think people are ready for it yet. They're going to have to warm them up a little bit. And the way they're going to warm them up was with Bitcoin. When people see this Bitcoin going from 37,000 to 100,000, and everybody's talking about, wow, my stocks lost money last year. In 2024, we had a soft year in stock market, but Bitcoin went over $100,000. And if it starts doing that, people are going to say, wow, that cryptocurrency, man, that must be pretty good stuff. And then that's kind of either they're going to do it through warming us up with Bitcoin to transition us into a central bank digital currency. And the two will remain separate from one another. They'll run concurrently to one another. They're not going to run. They'll run together. They're not going to run consecutively. It's not going to be one and, Bitcoin will go out of business and we'll have a central bank digital currency. Bitcoin will be in business with the central bank digital currency together. But this will just soften us up and warm us up to it by seeing all this demand for Bitcoin and how valuable Bitcoin becomes. So get ready for that, because that's going to be the next thing to happen. That's why, these guys like Michael Saylor are piling up on Bitcoin. That's why the ETFs are coming up. That's why the sales forces of the big Wall Street firms are ready for it. They want new product. They don't have product right now. They got the tech stocks are starting to lose their interest. The only thing going that's very excitable right now is the AI stuff. Retail is soft, tech is soft, building soft, commodities, commodities are commodities. They're going to go up because of inflation, but they're not going to go up like Bitcoin. And the stocks aren't going to go up like Bitcoin. You're not going to see 5, 10, 15, 20% in one day in a stock like you see in Bitcoin all the time. So yeah, this is the deal right now. This is the play. And of course, guys like this guy, they're hoarding the Bitcoin too. So I actually made a video with Novogratz. I think I pulled it up here. Let me show it to you. So this is me right here back in my heavier days. I was probably 50 pounds heavier than I am today. And there's Mike Novogratz. We went up to it was a crypto conference up in Los Angeles. And I got a chance to meet him and talk to him and had a little video with him here. I'll play just a second of it.
There's tons of energy, good energy. I saw a ton of great projects. Various stages of entrepreneurship. Some people were really confident, others were
Here,
nervous.
I'll back it up just a little bit.
Some entrepreneurs, some people were really confident, others were nervous, and it's kind of a fun little thing.
Just bounce out that here.
Love San Francisco. This place is kind of taking back over the, kind of missed chapter one of crypto, and now it's become.
Yeah, so that's me in Novogratz about 5 years ago. Let me see. Yeah, it was 5 years ago when we made that video. So I got a chance to meet with the guy, talk to him. He's a nice guy, big, it's funny. You could kind of tell with his clothes. He had really high-end designer clothes on. It's funny. I mean, he had really nice shoes, really nice stuff. I mean, the guy's a billionaire. He was pretty well decked out that night. It was a party. We're having a party here. There's a bunch of people around us. And it was a pretty fun event. We had a good time. It's probably one of the best times I've had in crypto. Was up there at that. It was a hackathon that we had up there at San Francisco a few years back, 5 years ago. So anyway, that guy, he's one of the guys driving Bitcoin right now. Galaxy, I think, is his company. Fortress Investments, and then I think Galaxy Investment Partners. Yeah, he's got his hands everywhere. He made all his money in hedge funds. So he's a money guy. He knows what he's doing. He's just playing the game. And he really played us in EOS because he's one of the guys who probably got away with a lot of Bitcoin in EOS too. So these guys they're all situating themselves for when this big massive sales force of people come into Bitcoin by all the Wall Street people that are wanting to start selling a new product. They want something. They need a fresh product to sell. They want something fresh to sell. They want to sell Bitcoin, and the supply shock is coming up soon. So if you're watching Bitcoin from afar and you're thinking about it, you don't even need to wait for the ETF. I mean, you can go right to Michael Saylor's company and buy MicroStrategies. I mean, buy this company, MicroStrategies, sells on the NASDAQ, and he's got a lot of Bitcoin. So if you don't want to buy in a Bitcoin ETF or wait for the Bitcoin ETF and you're afraid to buy Bitcoin through someplace like Coinbase, just go buy MicroStrategies. It's a publicly traded company. I mean, I've said that's just as good as an ETF in my mind. So I think the ETF's a great idea because it's just building up a lot of pent up interest, and everybody's building up for this thing. And generally, what happens is the anticipation is greater than the actual conclusion or the actual happening of the event. So this anticipation could really drive Bitcoin, because that's generally what happens when you got everybody saying ETF. The investors are coming in, billions waiting on Wall Street. Everybody's waiting for Wall Street. They want to buy ETFs. They want to buy Bitcoin ETFs. That anticipation usually makes the price rise quicker than anything, more so than when it actually does happen. So that's coming up pretty quickly. So and then of course we got the halving next year, where what happens is the rewards get cut in half, which means the miners get squeezed, which means they have to do more. And I see where the hash rate is. They talk about the hash rate. All the hash rate is computing power. So the more computing power there is invested in Bitcoin means the network's more valuable. You got more computers working on this thing. So that's the hash rate that they talk about all the time. Just computing power. That's all it is. Computing energy, infrastructure. When you think of hash rate, think of infrastructure, computer energy, and resources and infrastructure of Bitcoin taking off. And that is let's look at the hash rate. I can't remember what they said it was, but it's expanding really fast right now. Bitcoin hash rate. You can watch this stuff and see if we can get something fairly current here. So right here's the hash rate as it goes up and down. And of course you have to look at, let's look at all the way. See, look what is going on. You just see this constant increase in hash rate going on, which means more computers and more energy and more. And that's one of the things that they're complaining about is the energy that's being consumed by this thing. But my God, look at how much hash rate we got going on right now. This is crazy, especially look what's happened since 23. Wow. Man, look at this thing. It is just going nuts. So Bitcoin hash rate is just going crazy. That tells you right there that things are happening. Man, what's happened here in the last few days, last week, what's going on. Yeah, it's bouncing around 1 day. Yeah, bouncing around 1 month, 3 months. Yeah, 6 months. You got to go out a year here before you can really see a lot of, yeah. But wait till the halving happens and see what happens. That's really going to take off. So anyway, a lot of things going on. I'll try to make these daily. If you want to be up to date as far as what's going on with Bitcoin, give my opinion about it. I'll try to make these every day. They're easy for me to make. I enjoy making them, and we can talk about stuff about what's going on in the Bitcoin world, because I think a lot of people need to start paying attention to Bitcoin, because if we go into deflation or inflation, 20 million, because there's 1 million lost or to Satoshi, 20 million supply. And then you got to realize that back in the early days of Bitcoin, when it wasn't valuable, nobody really, some of those Bitcoin got lost. You know, people lost lots of Bitcoin on computers that got damaged or just thrown away and everything. I mean, there's story after story about people that had tons of Bitcoin on a computer back in 2011, 2012, and you know, they threw it away, and now they're going through garbage dumps looking for their computer with all the Bitcoin on it, with the private keys. So there's a lot of Bitcoin out there that's been lost. So we don't know exactly how much supply there is. And of course, with the way Bitcoin's designed, it can never be more than 21 million. And like I say, there's a lot of it already being tied up. So supply, demand, and supply. If there's more demand than there is supply, only means one thing: price will go higher. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.